Bob Corker ended up supporting the GOP tax bill, despite his previous promises that he would not vote for it if it added anything whatsoever to the deficit. And thanks to great reporting by David Sirota, we found out that right around the time he switched from a no to a yes, a provision was added to the bill that will end up benefiting him financially in a very significant fashion. Now, Corker doesn't appreciate that reporting, and he certainly doesn't appreciate the discussion around that reporting. And so he went on TV and had this to say.
The president called yesterday. We had a warm conversation about numbers of issues. I told him that I'd had a healthy respect for the media. I deal with them all the time, and you know, to attack the media has not been something I've done. But I had a newfound empathy for him in watching how a totally debunked story, debunked by everybody involved, Orrin Hatch, Kevin Brady, the guys that actually wrote this bill, knew I had nothing whatsoever to do with it. But then you have this reporter who says this. All of a sudden, people that I respect in the news media, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, people start printing this as if it's true. A social media phenomenon generates from this. And I've never, ever in my life used the word fake news until today. I actually understand what it is the president has been dealing with. Look, I'm sorry. I've witnessed it firsthand. It is not good. I know other people have witnessed the same. Look, as I mentioned to him, just I have a newfound empathy for what he and others have been dealing with in this regard.
Wow. So suddenly, you know, he's not so anti-Trump when it comes to the fake news stuff. Now, I honestly feel a little bit bad. His feelings have been hurt. I mean, it's balanced a little bit by the fact that he'll end up making millions off of this change to the tax code. So that can make him feel a little bit better. But really fast, I just want to catch you up on what he has said previously about Trump and this fake news stuff. Now, part of the reason they had a feud was Donald Trump once tweeted this about the Iran deal. People like little Bob Corker have set the US way back. Now we move forward. That was back in October, but it already feels like forever ago. We do have to remember that the president of the United States called a sitting senator little. So he did that, and Bob Corker has said at various times, the president has great difficulty with the truth on many issues. I think world leaders are very aware that much of what he says is untrue. And when his term is over, I think the debasing of our nation, the constant non-truth telling, and just the name calling, the things that I think the debasement of our nation is what we will be remembered most important, and that's regretful. But now it was fake news. You know, he was right to call it fake news the whole time.
Okay, so let's break down what Bob Corker is saying, because he's doing a trick there that I need you to understand. He's conflating two different things. So the report that came out of IB Times, Josh Keefe and David Sirota, Sirota is also a TYT contributor, but they wrote this for IB Times, did not say Bob Corker went to Orrin Hatch and Kevin Brady and made them change the bill. They never said that. It's Bob Corker doing fake news there. What they said was indisputably true. And Bob Corker, I would imagine, also acknowledges this, but I don't know now, maybe he's playing the president's game now that he got caught red-handed in a sense. So what they said was this provision was not in the House or Senate bill before they went into what they call committee. They take the two different versions, make it one version so they both go vote on the same bill. They go into committee, it's not in either version, and then all of a sudden in that committee, they add this new provision. Now that new provision helps a number of people, including Bob Corker, because he happens to have a real estate business, and that provision is specifically a real estate loophole, okay? Now the other person that it helps, by the way, tremendously, is Donald Trump. So after they add that new provision, Bob Corker, who had always been a no, switches to a yes. Now people go, I wonder if that had something to do with it. But they're not saying Bob Corker went to Orrin Hatch and grabbed him by the ear and said, put this provision in so I can get rich, okay? Yeah. Now, if he can't see why it would raise eyebrows that he switched his vote at that same exact time, he's being wildly disingenuous. If he said instead, look, I get it, man. It looks like this thing benefits me to the tune of millions of dollars, and I made my decision right around then. Doesn't look great, but I assure you that I really did not have anything to do with that. And here's my other reason for voting for it. You know what he says? What he says is his real reason for voting for it. he went for, quote, a long walk. Now, maybe he did. Maybe he went around.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a long walk to people who assured him that he'd soon be even more wealthy than he is today.
Yeah, a long walk maybe to pick up a donor check, right? So what do I think happened? Because we know the facts are what the IB Times reported. They added the provision. It helps Bob Corker a lot. He switches his vote. Okay. Now that doesn't mean again that Corker
that's causal.
That it's causal, right? So I think what happened is they probably added the provision not for Corker but for Trump. Because
and the 16 other senators too that'll benefit from it.
That's right.
They like it.
And the people who decided it, 13 of the people who decided in that committee also benefit from this. They all benefit from it, okay?
That's a weird coincidence.
That is a weird coincidence, right? So now my guess is that Bob Corker was always going to vote yes. So Bob, let me be clear about my opinion on it. I think you were always a liar. I think that you pretended to care about the deficit. You never actually cared about the deficit. In fact, I said well before you quote unquote changed your mind on your long walk that you would vote yes, whether this provision was in there or not in there. You know why? Because like all the other politicians, especially Republicans, you serve your donors. So your donors told you to vote yes, you were always going to vote yes. What did you discover on your long walk? Maybe you didn't discover this new loophole. Maybe that's like frosting on top for you. Oh, hey, look at this extra couple of $1 million I got. But what you always knew and what you contemplated on your walk was, how is this gonna play out for all the people who put me in office? And those people who put you in office want their goddamn tax cuts, and you were always gonna give it to them, Bob. And that's the reality. What you just watched was one of the videos that we do today, but we actually do a whole 2-hour show every single day. It's a podcast. You could watch it in video or listen to it as audio. You can download it, you can stream it, and you get it completely ad-free if you could become a member of the Young Turks. TYTnetwork.com/join.